reality. Last week, Wednesday, June 18th, after 46 years of ownership since May 29th, 1979, the Buss family has sold the Lakers franchise to Mark Walter and the group that owns, among other sports entities, your Los Angeles Dodgers for what is reportedly going to be...
The Lakers' new owner is the most powerful person in sports that you've never heard of. This is Mark Walter. He's a billionaire who founded and still runs the asset management firm Guggenheim Partners. But about 15 years ago, Mark became extremely interested in sports as an asset class. He knew media rights.
For months, the basketball world has questioned Mark Walter's unwavering support of LeBron James. Why would a billionaire owner, fresh off a record $10 billion purchase, tie his franchise's future to a 41-year-old legend? Now, for the first time, Walter has broken his silence with a stunning personal explanation. And in an unexpected twist, Larry Bird, LeBron's greatest rival's icon, has stepped forward to defend the king. This is the inside story of the owner's loyalty, the legend's validation, and the message that changes everything.
Hold on, Big Perk. Hold on, I pity the fool. Hold on. You telling me?
I've been letting y'all talk the whole
careful.
time.
No, be careful. I'm coming right at you.
Let
Be
Perk
careful,
talk.
because I know you know Isiah Thomas. Isiah, Joe Dumars, Vinny the Microwave Johnson, Dennis Rodman, Lambeer, Edwards, Sally. You telling me that the Detroit Pistons...
Tonight, was there any thought at all that this could have been your last game with the Lakers?
I'm not going to answer that. Appreciate it.
The setting was an exclusive, closed-door media roundtable, the kind where billionaires usually speak in carefully managed platitudes. But Mark Walter, the man who now controls the Lakers' destiny, chose this moment to reveal something deeply personal. "Everyone asks me why I support LeBron," Walter began, leaning forward. "They look at spreadsheets and age curves and salary caps. That's not why I bought the Lakers. I bought the Lakers because they represent excellence, sustained over generations. And LeBron James, whatever the analytics say, is excellence." Sources in the room described Walter's tone as unexpectedly emotional. He spoke of watching LeBron's 2016 championship, the 3-1 comeback against the 73-win Warriors, as a defining moment in his understanding of greatness. He described flying to Akron years before becoming owner, visiting the I Promise school, and witnessing firsthand the community LeBron had built. "That's not a mercenary," Walter stated flatly. "That's a builder. And builders, in my experience, are the only ones worth betting on when the numbers say to fold." Walter acknowledged the tension in the organization, the leaked frustrations from Jeannie Buss's camp, and the very real possibility that LeBron could leave this summer. But his message was unequivocal. The Lakers under his ownership would not be the ones who pushed the king out. "If LeBron decides his next chapter is elsewhere, we'll celebrate him, but we're not going to make that decision for him. Some things matter more than the bottom line." Walter's confession sent shockwaves through the room, but the real surprise was still to come. A voice from the past rising to defend a legacy he once spent his career trying to stop. Subscribe to hear Larry Bird's stunning words.
Like that. And LeBron right now. So you got Larry Legend.
Okay,
or
now
LeBron.
what rules are we playing to?
We're playing today's rules.
Oh, I gotta go with Larry Joe. I gotta go with Larry Joe. In today's rules, you can't touch them.
Yeah.
And Larry, so this is 27, 28-year-old Larry and 27, 20.
Do you think the Lakers are a championship team now?
We got to continue to get better. So there's a lot of things that we want to continue to build, and obviously we want to get healthy as well. We're still missing two of our starters. We're missing one of our gritty guys and goody
The
as well.
basketball world was still processing Mark Walter's unexpected confession when the second bombshell dropped. Larry Bird, the iconic Celtics forward who spent his career battling Magic Johnson for NBA supremacy, sat down for a rare interview on a basketball podcast. When asked about the Lakers' ownership drama and LeBron's legacy, Bird offered a response that left the host momentarily speechless. "I've been watching this whole thing unfold, and honestly it bothers me," Bird began, his Indiana drawl as deliberate as ever. "People forget what it takes to be great. They look at numbers and analytics and forget the human element. LeBron James is one of the most misunderstood superstars in sports history." The host, recovering from his surprise, asked Bird to elaborate on why he, of all people, would defend a Laker. "Because I know what it takes," Bird said, his eyes narrowing with the competitive fire that defined his career. "I played against the best. Magic, Michael, Isiah, and I'll tell you something, LeBron belongs in that conversation. Not because of his stats, though those are ridiculous, but because of the weight he's carried. For 20 years, every city, every arena, every single night, he's been the target, and he's still standing." Bird leaned forward, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "I didn't have social media. I didn't have 24-hour news cycles dissecting my every move. I didn't have guys on podcasts calling me a fake king or questioning my legacy after every loss. LeBron has dealt with all of that, and he's still averaging 25 points a night at 41. That's not just talent, that's mental toughness. That's something the spreadsheets will never capture." When the host pressed Bird on the comparisons to his own era, Bird offered a surprising concession. "Could I guard LeBron in my prime? I'd like to think so. But could I do what he's done? Adapt his game 3 different times, win with 3 different franchises, handle the pressure of being the chosen one since he was 17? I don't know. That's a different kind of greatness. Maybe it's a harder kind." Bird paused, then delivered the line that would trend for days. "The people who criticize LeBron the loudest are usually the ones who never had to carry what he's carrying. I've been quiet because I respect the burden, but I'm speaking now because someone needs to say it. LeBron James is one of the greatest competitors I've ever seen. Full stop." Larry Bird, of all people, just defended LeBron James in the most powerful way possible. The legend who built his career on Celtic green and Laker rivalry has crossed the divide. But what does this mean for the ongoing debate? And how does LeBron respond? Subscribe to witness the King's reaction.
I mean, I think obviously I've been in the game for a while, so I kind of know what to expect. And, obviously, one, you got to take care of your body, but more importantly, you got to take care of your mind. Being a professional athlete, if your mind is not as sharp as possible or as clear as possible, then you're not going to be able to perform at a high level. I think, seeing what our team is capable of doing, even before, the big acquisition of picking up Luka, I thought we had a good chance of making a good run. So I wanted to make sure that I was there, not only physically.
Still waiting for a big smile out of you. You're up 2-0. What's the story? Are you not happy, or you're only half happy, or?
Still to be happy about.
You're up 2-0.
Job's not finished. Job finished? No.
LeBron James learned of Larry Bird's comments during a film session. According to a team source, he paused the video, listened to the clip being played on his phone, and sat in silence for a long moment. Then, without a word, he resumed the session. His reaction, when it finally came, was not the triumphant victory lap many expected. The following day, after a Lakers win, LeBron was asked about Bird's unexpected defense. His answer was measured, reflective, and surprisingly vulnerable. "Larry Bird is basketball royalty," LeBron began, his voice calm. "Growing up in Akron, watching the Celtics-Lakers battles on old VHS tapes my mom got me, that was my education. Bird and Magic taught me what competition looked like, so hearing someone like that, someone who has zero reason to say anything nice about me, say those words, it's humbling." He paused, collecting his thoughts. "But here's the thing. I don't play for validation. Not from Larry, not from anyone. I play because I love the game. I play because every time I step on that court, I'm representing something bigger than myself. My family, my city, the kids who need to see that someone from where I'm from can make it." When a reporter pressed him on whether Bird's comments finally settled the respect debate, LeBron shook his head. There's no settling it. People are going to believe what they want to believe. Some folks grew up watching Jordan, and that's their standard. Some grew up watching Kobe, and that's theirs. Some watched me. The beauty of basketball is that we all get to choose. Larry Bird choosing to say something kind doesn't mean the debate ends. It just means maybe we're all a little more connected than we think. The response was vintage LeBron, elevating the conversation beyond petty debate, acknowledging the honor while refusing to claim victory. But those close to him say the moment affected him deeply. A source described LeBron as genuinely moved that Bird, a rival from a different era, had taken the time to speak on his behalf. He doesn't show it often, the source said, but stuff like this matters to him. He spent his whole career being compared to ghosts. Having one of those ghosts say something real, that hits different. LeBron has responded with grace, but the conversation is far from over. Bird's words have opened a door, and now other legends are stepping through. The next chapter reveals who else is ready to speak and what they have to say about the king. Subscribe to witness history being rewritten. Larry Bird's unexpected defense of LeBron James cracked open a dam that had held for years. In the days following his interview, a cascade of legendary voices emerged from the basketball pantheon, each offering their own perspective on the king's legacy. The chorus was not uniform. Some offered measured praise, others full-throated endorsement, but the collective weight was undeniable. Magic Johnson, Bird's eternal rival and friend, was first to amplify the message. Appearing on ESPN's First Take, Magic smiled broadly when asked about Bird's comments. "Larry and I spent our whole careers trying to kill each other on the court, but off the court, we've always understood each other. And what he said about LeBron, that's not just respect, that's recognition. When Larry Bird tells you you're one of the greatest competitors he's ever seen, you don't need any other validation." Magic then added his own endorsement, more nuanced than his earlier critiques. "I've been hard on LeBron because I love the Lakers. I want what's best for the franchise. But let's be clear, LeBron James is a top 5 player of all time, period. The way he's sustained excellence, the way he's reinvented his game, the way he's handled pressure that none of us faced because social media didn't exist, that's legendary. That's Mount Rushmore." Isiah Thomas, the architect of the Bad Boy Pistons and a man who feuded bitterly with both Bird and Magic, offered a more philosophical take. On his own podcast, Thomas framed the conversation in historical terms. "We're witnessing something unprecedented. We've never had a player dominate for this long while simultaneously building an empire off the court. LeBron isn't just a basketball player, he's a cultural institution. When historians write the story of this era, they won't just talk about championships. They'll talk about how one man changed the relationship between athlete, franchise, and community. That's Bird's point, I think. The greatness transcends the game." Julius Erving, Dr. J himself, the man who bridged the ABA and NBA and defined grace on the court, offered perhaps the most elegant summation. In a brief interview with Anscape, Erving said, "I've watched LeBron since he was a kid in high school. I saw the weight they put on his shoulders. I wondered if anyone could carry that. 20 years later, he's still standing, still producing, still lifting others. That's not just talent, that's character. And character, in the end, is what we remember." Even Michael Jordan, through a spokesperson, offered a rare public acknowledgement. The statement was brief, carefully worded, but significant. Michael has always respected LeBron's game and his contributions to the league. He believes the conversation around legacy is healthy for the sport, and that all players who've given their lives to the game deserve their flowers. It wasn't an endorsement of LeBron as GEOT, but it was a recognition of his place in the pantheon, a subtle but meaningful shift from Jordan's typical silence on such matters. The cumulative effect was seismic. For years, the old guard had been portrayed as a unified front, resistant to LeBron's greatness. Bird's comments, followed by this cascade of legendary voices, shattered that narrative. These weren't bitter relics clinging to the past, they were historians, acknowledging that the present had earned its place in the museum. The legends have spoken. The narrative has shifted, but the most important voice in this conversation, the one that started it all, has not yet responded to the chorus. Larry Bird, having lit the fuse, now watches from the sidelines as his peers join the conversation. But what about the man whose words triggered this entire movement? Bird's next move is the one everyone is waiting for. Subscribe to see if the legend speaks again. The chorus of legendary voices defending LeBron James did more than validate one player's career. It built a bridge between two eras of basketball that had spent years at war. The old guard, long portrayed as bitter gatekeepers, had collectively acknowledged that greatness evolves, and that evolution is not diminishment. Larry Bird, watching the response to his initial comments from his Indiana home, finally broke his silence again. In a brief statement released through a family spokesperson, Bird offered a simple, powerful closing thought. "I said what I said because it needed to be said. Basketball is bigger than any one player, any one era, any one debate. LeBron's generation learned from us. The next generation will learn from him. That's how the game grows. I'm proud to have played a part in building something that could produce a player like LeBron James, and I'm proud that he's carrying it forward." The statement was remarkable not for its content, but for its humility. Bird, one of the most competitive players in history, was essentially saying, "We built the foundation. He built the house. Both matter." Mark Walter, the Lakers owner whose initial confession sparked this entire conversation, watched the legendary chorus unfold with quiet satisfaction. In a private conversation with confidants, he reportedly said, "This is why I bought the Lakers. Not for the spreadsheets, for the history, for the moments when the past reaches out and touches the present. That's what sports should be." For LeBron James, the cumulative effect was profound. Those close to him describe a man who, for the first time in years, allowed himself to feel the weight of what he'd accomplished, not as a competitor, but as a bridge between generations. In a private team meeting, he reportedly told his teammates, "All those guys, Bird, Magic, Dr. J, they're why I play. They built the stage. I'm just trying to leave it better than I found it. Hearing them say I've done that, that's everything."
The story that began with a billionaire owner's confession and a Celtics legend's unexpected defense ends not with a victory lap, but with a realization. Legacy is not a destination, it's a conversation. For 2 decades, LeBron James has been measured against ghosts, compared to standards set before he was born, and asked to justify his greatness against the mythology of a previous era. Larry Bird, of all people, finally said what the conversation had been missing. The ghosts don't need to be defeated. They can be honored. They can be thanked. They can be part of the story without being the end of it. Mark Walter, the spreadsheet emperor, understood something that analytics could never capture. Some assets appreciate in ways no balance sheet can measure. LeBron James, at 41, is one of those assets, not because of what he'll produce next season, but because of what his presence says about the franchise that chose to believe in him. The basketball world will continue to debate. The GOAT conversation will never end. But something shifted in those 72 hours when Larry Bird spoke and the legends answered. The war between eras didn't end, but a truce was declared. And in that truce, a simple truth emerged. Greatness doesn't need to be ranked, it just needs to be recognized. What does legacy mean to you? Rings, respect, or the bridge you build between generations? Let us know in the comments. For more deep dives into the moments that redefine how we see sports legends, hit subscribe.